Have you been doing it every day? Pretty much.
Um, yeah, every day this week except for today. I'm hosting next Thursday actually, so.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, then we gonna be on. We gonna be on
Mhm.
together. But yeah, no, I've been things have been picking up, and whatever new, like with Rebel HQ, whatever new video structure that Mike has been putting forth for me has been working. Cause just like with that channel, it's real trendy in terms of like what people how people want to see it and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But other than that, the channel's been coming along pretty well. Tangible, consistent growth, and also too, like it's just been nice to, like there will continue to be entertainment value around different kinds of things. But other than that, it's just been nice to have the subscriber base kind of help paint the vision. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So like the membership program has started out well, and it's I think that we'll have a lot of success with it. Again, just really focusing on community service efforts and local government initiatives. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it. But I've been busy. You know what I'm saying? I've been busy, but in a good way. So I can't complain. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But yeah, so apparently Ray and I will be on next Thursday on a damage report. I just got an email. So definitely tune into that. But yeah, no, I think today's discussion will be pretty seamless as they tend to go. I think as you and I continue to hop on, we'll end up doing all types of different cool projects together, like over time. You know what I'm saying? You and I seem to
Mhm.
work together pretty well. We got Mara, we got Fritz, a Dark Dragon, and Galvatron in the building. Hello. I didn't get to advertise this one. Like I said, I've been busy. I've had so much stuff to do. It won't be long before I need some help, but I already got that work getting worked on, so we'll be good. But yeah, I don't remember what the hell I was just saying, but basically, oh yeah, I think I was just saying that I think that you and I'll end up doing very good work together over time, pretty effortlessly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But today, we kind of gonna talk a little bit about, I don't even know if growing is the right word, but more, the festering kind of hate culture towards the LGBTQ community. It's not new. It's not like it's just been around. And overall, there has been a lot of progress, which is, coincided with a lot of anti-progress. So what would you or what's like the a better terminology for that? The counterculture, would you say? Yeah,
Mm,
like
yeah,
yeah.
like digression, I suppose, just rolling
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Because when Obama was in office and he legalized same-sex marriage, there's just kind of a lot to dissect here. But I think it'll be good for us to start off. There's just kind of like a year in review thing, little slides that we can check out. Hold on, let me get this over here on the big screen. Well, hold on, I got to switch it up. There we go. Okay, so we'll just check this out a little bit. There's been hundreds of anti-LGBTQ bills that have been passed in red states all across the nation. That's been happening over the months. That was happening when Trump was on his way out of office as well. Um, so there's a quite a bit to respond to. So and this is this isn't even up to date in terms of like now because metadata takes time and stuff. So there'll be another report, but 356, and this is from ADL. 356 incidents of hate and extreme incidents. Ooh, I just woke up from a nap. My words are getting together. But it's a whole lot, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And here's, a lot of harassment. And I think definitely as, more and more of our lives have moved online and, the adolescent experience is becoming more and more really actually living your life via the internet. Not in a bad way necessarily, but that's just how things work. A lot of harassment of the LGBTQ community. How do you see a lot of that working? And just people receiving a lot of it because this can lead people to committing suicide and all types of terrible things like that.
Right. I mean, it's been really scary to watch. I mean, fucking today I saw some guy who was responding to a post about some woman who sexually assaulted a 13-year-old boy, and his reply was like, "Oh, where was she when I was 13?" And then I go to his page and it's just him calling gay people groomers. But when he's confronted with an instance of actual grooming, he's like, "I wish it were me. I wish I was the victim of childhood
Right.
sexual assault." But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's scary, right, to see this sort of rhetoric, and it's the same rhetoric that was used against gay people is the same rhetoric now that's being used against trans people. It's the exact same playbook, just 2.0. And there's just no basis to any of the things they say, but it doesn't matter if you disprove them. It doesn't matter if you point out that they're wrong because it's bigotry and they hate this group of people. They'll slander them any way that they can. And then that turns into very real world violence. I just saw a video of a trans woman who complimented a guy somewhere, I believe it was in Baltimore, and then they threw a trash can at her. A group of guys was assaulting her because she said excuse me cutie or something to one of them. They had no problem assaulting this trans woman on the basis of her being trans and them feeling insecure about a trans person finding them attractive. And it's normalized. So many of the comments were like, good for them. Like, it just, you can see this type of hate being spread online, particularly on Twitter in real time, and nothing ever is fucking done with it. Like, I've had people call me slurs and I'll report it, and then Twitter will be like, we don't see anything wrong with this tweet. And I'll be like, they literally called me a slur. This person is calling me a pedophile because I'm gay. Like, how is that not a bannable offense? But it's not. And it's being more and more normalized. And I think one of the things that really breaks my heart about, particularly the anti trans movement, is how much they have to lie about the size of the trans population in order to push their hate narrative. If you look at these states that are passing laws that say little trans girls can't play in girls sports, you'll see that there's like one, or some states have zero trans children participating in girls sports. So who are they legislating against? Who is this evil boogeyman, the dominant trans athlete that's taking away all these accolades from these little girls, and they just don't exist? And so, or like the idea that all children are going to be trans by the year whatever, what it's less than 1% of the population is trans, very
Hmm.
small percent of the population is gay. We're seeing the numbers go up because even though we have this, surgence of hate towards this group, it's still more acceptable to live your life as your authentic self. But just as when that happened with left-handedness, they saw a spike in left-handedness and then it leveled out. The same thing is going to happen with the queer community because not everybody is gay. Most people aren't
Yeah.
gay. It's just
I
a
think it's like 7% of US adults identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual,
Mhm,
trans, and like you pointed out, 1% of that is trans. And my girlfriend is bisexual, and our relationship has been interesting over time. We've just become like very good friends.
mhm,
I mean, we've had a good relationship, but both of our lives have just been kind of like this. But we have a I've been in three like real relationships, I would say, where we were like really committed to each other in some capacity. And I've dated a lot of women and I'm friends with a lot of women, but her and I, it's just been a great relationship. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? It's been really interesting. But also to add on to what you were saying and what we were, just talking about all these incidents of hate, is despite the fact that there may be one case here, two cases in this state, bigotry fills people with energy. You know
mhm,
what I'm saying? And a lot of that is what it is. Hatred is powerful. You know what I'm saying? It is. Because hatred isn't always so black and white. It's not always so clear. A lot of hatred can come from past trauma. It can come from arrogance that you don't really recognize as hatred.
mhm.
Pride, all of these things can be wrapped around that. And so that's kind of where the addiction comes from. People are addicted to this type of information. They're addicted to feeling like there's a group against them somehow, their very way of life, because that's really how the LGBTQ community is demonized. It's not like, oh, these policies are going to take away your ability to get a job. No, it's like they want to turn your children into something
Right.
they're not. Like it's this dire, huge, world changing thing. Because a lot of conservatism is centered around, way of life more so than it is anything else. But
The one thing they always say that like sends a shiver down my spine is that whenever they talk about trans boys, they're like they're mutilating the healthy breasts of young girls. They always phrase it like that, and it's like, okay, pedophile.
yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah. And
Ugh.
that reminds me too of something else that you said previously, like Matt Walsh saying, like, like, I mean, it wasn't until relatively recently that, like, we stopped marrying off 12 and 13-year-old girls. So like
Right.
if you really check it out, and it's just like, you know, you didn't really need to say that. You
Right.
feel me? Like, and I'm somebody who has said many things I don't need to say, but it's never like that far. You feel me?
Right.
Because so, but yeah, you're right. Like, it'll just, these comments will just come out, and it's like, you didn't need to say any of that.
Mm-mm.
We're because right, yeah, like we're gonna ruin them for my, yeah. That's extremely creepy,
Yeah.
extremely creepy.
I was talking
Um,
about mutilating the genitals of children, and I gotta say that language is very sus, but also I think it's very off-putting to the average person. Like most people, I don't. There has been a rise in like homophobia and transphobia. Most people aren't homophobic or transphobic. Most people don't hear that kind of like creepy statement from someone like Matt, who looks like Matt Walsh. Let's be serious,
right.
and feel like galvanized by it. They're like, ew. Why would you say? Why are you talking to me about kids' genitals? You fucking weirdo.
And right, exactly, because out of everything else that could be discussed, out of everything else that there is going on, these things just really do not impact anybody in any type of significant way. Like, who cares? You feel me? Like, but here, let me see. Here's let's move on to some of these bills that have been put through. Let me change this up real quick. Hold up. Oh, there we go. It's all good. It froze for a sec, but we straight.
My
All
camera
right.
died. I
Oh
had
well,
to
shit.
switch
What
the
kind?
battery out
What
real
kind of
quick.
camera? What kind of camera you got? I need to get a new one.
A Lumix GH5. It is the most expensive thing I own. It's more expensive than my computer. And it's all tax deductible, baby. So
Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I need a new camera, so I'm gonna be looking into some stuff. But yeah, hey, pretty fancy. But yeah, so again, this came out in April. Like, so by April, at least 417 anti-LGBTQ bills have been introduced in state legislatures across the United States since the start of the year. And what's really going on in the back? I mean, look at this. Look at this.
Jesus Christ.
How is that not anything more than the result of, honestly, propaganda?
Right.
How
Right.
is it the result of anything other than that? Meanwhile, you got the Republican Party that's literally I mean, they're looking bad right now.
Yeah.
They're looking bad. They just are. Donald Trump cannot, he can't help himself. That's his undoing. At this point, it's not even about how many people would be willing to vote for him. It's that he just can't help himself but to dig deeper holes. And then the Republican Party's in disarray. They can't, Kevin McCarthy's gone. Meanwhile, on television, Fox News, on all these other outlets, pretty much all these commentators are discussing is, oh no, here come the big bad gay people. You see this in red pill content too. The manosphere, which luckily a lot of the red pill is kind of dying, but that rhetoric and that energy isn't going anywhere.
Mhm.
Just in terms of how, the sanctity of marriage and the place of a woman and the place of a man, all of this is connected. But
Y-
book
I just
bannings,
I gotta say, if you look at those legislations, so many of them are anti-trans and they're like banning surgeries for minors, like gender affirming surgeries. Almost all of them have carve-outs for teen girls to get breast implants. They can't get their breasts removed, but almost every single piece of one of those pieces of legislation has an explicit carve-out so that so that underage girls can get their breasts done. And that, if that doesn't say something about the fucking hypersexual fixation that so much of this is rooted in, like, I don't know what does. Like, they're scared that they're going to be attracted to a trans woman, and they're angry that someone who they deemed was a cis woman, or someone who was born assigned female at birth, someone who they would typically think they're allowed to be attracted to, might transition to being a man and then taken out of their potential dating pool. It's so based in hyper fixation on sexualization, or that a gay person might be attracted to them is like their worst fear.
And it's interesting too how, so much of it also goes back to the women's liberation movement, because all of it's connected in the sense of men losing their just surefire place in society. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? All of it's connected. All of it's looped out. And as you just pointed out, taking women out of the dating pool. I mean, honestly, there's this dating's never easy. I'm sorry, but it's easier than it's ever been, even for guys. It just
Right.
is. Yeah, I mean, it just is for so many different reasons. Whether it be the access that we have, there's pros and cons to everything. But it's not like we grow up in a small town and all we're ever going to see is people in this small town and maybe somebody who passes through. We can meet people, and I'm not even talking about like dating apps. We can meet people through work, because of technology that we have now. I mean, the world is so connected.
Hmm.
Despite the fact that there's all this growing animosity towards the LGBTQ community, the country is still more accepting of it than it's ever been before, especially when you look at younger generations. It's just really not that big of a deal. So it's just easier, and it says a lot about again, the people who are really pushing this, talking about this. Like, you're really just miserable in your personal life, and it don't got to be that way. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, it really does not have to be that way. But unfortunately, men, you know what I'm saying? Men, so much always.
Oh,
I took myself out the
I was
stream.
like,
Hold
oh
up.
no, where'd he go?
Nah, yeah, hold on. Here we go. I took myself up out the stream. Now we got this. Here we go. So this is just a little bit more, just of a breakdown in terms of laws passed. Over 500. Hold on. When is this for? I think this is a few months ago. This is more recent. Over 520 anti-LGBTQ bills have been introduced, and over 220 specifically targeting transgender and non-binary people.
Hmm.
70, so this is a record, 70 anti-LGBTQ laws have been enacted so far this year, including laws banning gender affirming care. 15 of those, and these are the ones that have been enacted.
Yeah.
70. So 15 laws banning gender affirming care. But if you want to get a breast implant, might help you get a husband or something. I don't
Right,
know.
apparently.
Yeah, we got to be considerate. You know what I'm saying?
The
We got to think about these things.
male gaze. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. We gotta be more considerate. So we got drag perform. Okay, laws requiring or allowing. I said allowing, allowing misgendering or transgender students. So
Requiring misgendering is crazy. Requiring teachers to call someone by their assigned pronouns is so, that's fucking nuts. Like, free
it
speech
is.
though. Free
That's some
speech though.
1984 shit.
Right.
It really is. I mean, and too, like, because laws have to be enforced. So like,
Hmm.
if somebody says like, "Hey, I don't think they're calling them a boy or a girl," like, you really lose your job over some stuff like that. Like,
Yep.
it's barbaric.
A lo-
It really is.
we did that story, was it Friday, about the book ban in Florida, and how that one school district had to ban every single book that even mentioned gay people. If there was a gay character, the book was banned. The kid couldn't bring in a book on their own for independent reading if it had a gay character. Like, because the teachers can get fucking fired. It's nuts.
And how much effort it takes to do all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It takes so much effort to do all of these things, to actually enforce these laws, to write them up, to fund them. But at the end of the day, them taxes still gonna get cut. Them corporate
Right.
taxes still gonna get cut. Laws targeting drag performances too. And again, like the thing is the states that are so concerned about this are like that's not where there's really a larger open population of the LGBTQ community. For instance, like you have to go to more blue areas,
Mhm.
like a NYC, throughout California, Chicago, places that just have more of a liberal culture. So you passing these types of laws in Mississippi is something like where are the drag shows really going on in these communities?
Right.
I live up here in NYC and like, I mean, they happen, but like, it's not, I don't see them. Like, I would have to look one up and be like, where are the drag shows this week? And then I could go. But other than that, like, it's not like they just sneak up on people. You
Right.
know what
Just
I'm saying?
unsuspecting and then boom, drag.
And it's like, too, you must think that this is so prevalent because you always checking it out in some type of way.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
you really must think that this is the representation. And then like you were putting in the school curriculum, the books, and again, people can actually be fired for this. There have been more anti-LGBTQ bills introduced in state houses this year. Okay, we in the previous 5 years, we already saw a chart from that. And 125 bills would prevent trans youth from being able to access age appropriate, medically necessary, best practice healthcare. In
Which
addition to,
is
I'm sorry, what?
these people are not doctors passing these legislations. They're literally saying they're mandating that doctors do not prescribe to children what is the best practice healthcare for their situation. They are demanding that, and now the doctors are put in a fucking shitty situation because you might lose your license either way. You might lose your license for going against what this law dictates, right? For, prescribing someone gender affirming care, or you might lose your license for not doing it because it's literally best practices. So what we're
Right,
seeing,
right. What do? You just don't take them on as patients. I mean,
eh,
basically that's kind of what it results in. You just don't really get to have access to the healthcare that you may need.
and we're seeing these states that are passing these laws have a shortage of doctors. I don't. We never got to it, but a couple weeks ago, there's a story we were supposed to cover on TYT about how doctors in these states were polled, and most of them, almost all of them, are looking for jobs in other states, actively looking for jobs in other states. Same thing with college professors. It's so fucked up. But Fritza asked a question. I wanted to respond.
What is she?
I hear the word ally a lot and I know that they mean well, but sometimes I feel like some of them do more harm than good. Ray, as a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, what does allyship mean to you? And I think that's a very good question because it does mean something, a little bit different to everybody. But for me personally, it's more than just I don't hate gay or trans people, right? It's more than like I have some gay friends or I have some trans friends. Like, if you're an ally, then you better be speaking up right now about what's going on in this country to our community specifically. All like we just 512 bills, was it? And if
Yeah.
you're a real ally, then you would have said something about that by now, right? You're trying to do something to help in whatever way it might be. Like, you're talking to your friends and trying to help change their opinions on these issues. You're just generally sharing articles, sounding the alarm on this type of shit. I'm not expecting everyone to be at the front lines of protests, but just, being aware and trying to help other people become aware of what's going on more so than just like being nice if you see a gay person in public, right? Like you should just do that to everyone. That's not really allyship. You got to go at least one step further than that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Doing what you can where you can, and because I mean it's likely that all of us know somebody who identifies with the queer community in some type of way. So yeah, I agree. And that could be even just like in daily conversations. Cause I mean, actually one thing I was gonna comment on is how I mean like anti-gay is so prevalent in culture, especially growing up. Like
Mhm.
everything's gay. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's gay, that's gay. If you stand us, oh, that's gay, that's gay. Everything's gay. And it's like so much to the point where, as you pointed out earlier, you could a trans woman said some like "excuse me, cutie" or something like that, and people end up losing their lives over stuff like that, or
Yeah.
getting hit upside the head with something because you got to prove like there ain't no gay in me, basically. So it really is an issue that oftentimes you don't really fully grasp until like you're kind of where we are in life now, where you have something to look back on and study what exactly shaped me, what have I overcome myself, even down to the smallest things. So it really is just so heavily prevalent in culture. And it looked like in Texas, the SB 12 criminalized drag performances. What does that mean? Like, you throw people in jail because they have parties where they want to have parties.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And
So
like saying that all drag is like inappropriate for kids is as dumb as saying like, "Oh, I saw a movie that was for adults, so all movies are for adults. No kid can watch a movie." Like I go to drag bingo. It's adults only. It's not too crazy, but every time she pulls 069, we get a free shot. But like
that sounds like a great time.
it is
Like,
fun as shit. But like, I've gone to adult only drag shows. I've gone to family friendly drag shows. They're not the same type of thing, right? Like it's just a performance. It's just kind of a fashion show when it's kid friendly. So the idea that just seeing a fashion show is going to corrupt the minds of the youth is being gay, is our argument so persuasive that just seeing us or knowing that we exist is going to pull you to our side? That's the thing I don't get. Like we got to shield children from even knowing about this culture, because if they hear about these gays, they're gonna get recruited. They're gonna join
yeah,
up.
yeah. And again, there's just absolutely no evidence for any of these things other than people freaking out because the world is changing. I mean, that's
Mhm.
really all it is. It's just people freaking out because the world is changing. But I think that this is another one of the Republican Party's major issues for the future. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I've actually been rather taken aback and blown away at how the whole GOP establishment is killing itself. Like, how many people in Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z are either identify with the community or know somebody who is, or just don't give a damn. Like none of these things are helping them to win elections, move forward whatsoever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Lauren Boebert, who you know, uh, I think people talked about it a little too much, but it's Lauren Boebert. But she dating this guy, this Democrat who has drag shows at his spot, and she tried to be like, "Oh, actually, um, I didn't know that," but they had been dating for months. And that's the saddest part about it is so many of the people who push this don't even give a damn about it. She
Right.
just liked the dude. Like they met each other and she just liked him. And you could tell she was a little sad that they had to stop talking
Right. Because
because
she had to frame it like he set her up or some shit.
yeah, so can't be having none of that. And so much of it too is like, members of the LGBTQ community are apparently more hypersexualized than everyone else,
Mhm.
because heterosexual men aren't super horny all the time. So yeah, I just in your view, what are some of the most important things that progressive candidates or really any candidate running for office right now can do to kind of help reel in some of this stuff, um, to kind of not even just that. I feel like there's not really that big of a blockade in the road right now for it. A lot of attention's on Trump, but what do you think our legislators really need to do as this issue's continuing to get worse?
I think the best thing they can do is not fall into the right wing framing of the issue. And I think so often they do. And they give some credence to what right wingers are saying when there's no validity to it whatsoever. Like when you hear people who are progressive politicians or otherwise going to talk about like the dangers of puberty blockers for children and saying that there's been no studies when that's puberty blockers. First of all, you would only give them to children. You don't need to give them to adults.
Right.
I'm not going through puberty. I'm 25 years old. What the fuck would I need a puberty blocker for?
Right.
But they've been studied and tested for decades. Transition surgery has been around longer than heart transplant surgery. This is not new. These trans people have existed and gay people have existed through all of human history, at least all of recorded history that we know of. It's prevalent in culture, becoming more acceptable now as we move away from our Christian what's puritanical roots in this country to some extent, not to a whole lot of an extent, but to some extent. So, just not being willing to capitulate to them on those issues, taking a firm stance and standing by. I think that these candidates, though, are in a good spot. I think that given everything that happened yesterday with the Republicans, given everything that they've been focusing on, given what Trump's been fucking doing, he got a gag order in his trial yesterday.
And he ain't gonna follow it.
Not at all. He's gonna get sanctioned. He's gonna get fucking sanctioned by the
That's
court.
that's why I'm saying it's like with every passing day, I'm like, man, this dude's done.
Right.
I mean, how can that not be the case? Because he won't stop. He won't stop. And it's like, all right, man, you waking up and it's like all these judges who could pound the gavel and send you to prison. You're like, fuck you, you're a racist. All the racists can
racist against white people.
Right. Racist against this old wealthy white man.
Did you see the video of him at his rally talking about how he would rather be electrocuted than eaten by a shark?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And again, but at this point, it's crazy because despite the fact that millions of people want him back in office, it's like, this guy can't help himself, man. I don't know exactly how this is going to go down, but the dude just can't help himself. But again, I'm sorry, what?
I was going to say, it's funny to watch how it's played out, right? Because Republicans have had to capitulate to what Donald Trump wants at every step of the way. And that included the impeachment inquiry and, everything in that front. And now you've got this chaos, this absolute shit show of what's happening in the Republican Party. I think Lindsey Graham described it as a circus. He described it as shooting themselves in the foot. But
then he came on TV and he's also defending and licking Trump's boots. So it's like,
right. It's fascinating because I think he was being genuine for a moment when he said that, right? He knows that this is bad electorally because they're punishing Kevin McCarthy for essentially, and he didn't do this very much, but he had to give some concessions to the moderate Republicans in the purple districts who have tough re-elections coming back up, in 2024. And now I think that the Democrats are in a better position than they have been at any time in the past year and a half to retake the House of Representatives because the Republicans have just been I guess not even a year and a half now and less than a year, but the Republicans have just been such a disaster and self-imploding and capitulating to Donald Trump specifically is damaging to the districts that aren't like Marjorie Taylor Greene's plus 6,000 are, the districts where they narrowly won. And they didn't win by very large margins in any of these places. And there's the districts in New York that are very, very likely to flip back blue. They've really hurt themselves. And I think that this is an opportunity for the Democrats to not shit the bed again and to take some power back.
Yeah, I agree 100% because again, like when you really look at everything that's going on, you got Donald Trump, who's in the process of losing everything.
Yep.
And he's not beating 91 felony charges. It's not happening. He might be 40, 50 of them, 60 of them. He's not beating all of them, especially when he's waking up and saying F you to the judges. Like it's not happening.
The judge in the trial, and it's a bench trial. The judge they make the final decision. There's no jury. Why are you attacking the judge who holds the fate of your ability to do business in the palm of his hand?
Because he can't help himself. And again, I just don't like them. At this point, I'm kind of like, I just don't really care about the establishment at all. Like, I don't really see it as big of an obstacle as it has been. Of course, it's still in the way. Of course, corporate corruption's in the way. But these motherfuckers is old, man. These
Right.
people are like 80 years old. They like 78, 75 years old. And everything is collapsing. People are dropping dead. People are dropping out of race. I mean, not running for re-election.
Hmm.
The Republican Party is falling apart. So again, I think that all of us just need to play our part and get good people to run. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like support elections and get good people to run. But I agree. I think there's just a lot of opportunity for us to do something about all of this. But unfortunately, I think that the fight to quell the anti-LGBTQ extremism that's growing in this country, I think that's going to take some years. I think it's going to
Yeah.
be a bit, because what else does the right wing really have right now? You know,
Critical race theory is done.
yeah,
They beat that horse.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? And what do you really have? What else do they really have? So unfortunately, we're gonna have
Yeah.
to honestly keep on growing up and playing our parts, because we're gonna see a whole lot of successful gay people coming up in the horizon. It's gonna be a whole lot more of that, and people gonna be mad. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But let them be mad. You know, let them be mad. But I think that's about it. I think that we had a good quick discussion, just to, again, just go over like the reality that, just in case you forgot, I know none of y'all forgot, but there are hundreds of anti-LGBTQ bills being passed. The culture war is not over. We still got to keep fighting, and these are things that we need to be thinking about in the coming election. So,
Hmm.
is there anything that you'd like to close off with?
I'll just say that I think a lot of people who are not members of these communities that are being the victims of these egregious attacks have an easy time saying, "Oh, we don't need to focus on these culture. It is a culture war. You're right, but we don't need to focus on these culture war issues. We need to focus on, improving the material conditions of the workers." And it's like, gay people are workers, trans people are workers. We are also workers, and we also benefit materially when attacks on our very livelihood, our core being, aren't passing in state legislators around the country. It's not politically inconvenient that we exist. And politicians should also focus on those issues and you know, take clear stances on protecting gay and trans people. And I think that more cis and straight people need to recognize that these are not just politically inconvenient issues, that these people's lives are at stake here, and that is something that politicians need to highlight in these upcoming elections.
100%. I agree with everything that you just said. At the end of the day, we got to keep on passing bills to tangibly change people's lives, because that'll also help to quell the culture war noise, because it'll be like, these guys over here are actually putting more money in my pockets and
Right.
giving me a bit more sense of security in life in general. So I agree with that 100%. But thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we're not doing Lock Talk tomorrow, but we will be doing another episode of Nerd News, because the finale of Ahsoka was fucking fantastic. I thought it was fantastic. Did you watch it?
No, I haven't watched it. I don't have Disney Plus.
Oh, well, I think it's a really good production. I think it's a really good production. And side note, oh my God, the Star Wars fan base is
So
the worst ever. It's just like, you don't like anything. You know what I'm saying? But they watch it, so at least they keep the money coming through. But I think Star Wars just has amazing, endless potential for live action. It really
Yeah.
does. And I think it's gonna keep growing. I think it will, and I hope it does. But again, thank you everybody for tuning in. And check Rayy out, and we will see y'all soon. And next Thursday, we're gonna be hosting on the Damage Report. So tune
Mhm.
into that. All right.